Let's move on to our final album. Novelists FR have dropped their new album, Déjà Vu. Where to begin with this one?
It's fine.
That's one way to start. Yeah.
I really don't want to say this, but I'm gonna say it.
Mm-hmm.
This should have been an EP.
No.
I can see it. I don't know if I necessarily agree. Would this have been one of the best EPs I've heard all year if it was an EP? Hell fucking yes.
Yeah.
But I still think it makes sense to be an album. I think the interlude gimmick almost works. There's just too much of it. I think if you take out 2 of the interludes, you leave 3 of the interludes in here, just remove 2 of them, I'd say you probably get rid of, like, I would get rid of Air and probably Colas. I don't remember the interludes super well, but I remember liking Bias and I remember liking May. Take out one of the other 3 interludes, and I think this album works a lot better. The interludes almost, they take you out of the experience a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's only because there's too much of it. Because going from Smoke Signals into May into Heretic, I liked that. That worked for me. But because it's every other song, it's like, it becomes so predictable that you know what's going to happen, that it's like, okay, I just finished the song, now I get to wait 2 minutes. Whereas with other interludes on other albums, there's almost an element of randomness to it that makes them work better. Whereas in this, the predictability of the interludes and when they're going to happen and roughly how they're going to sound as an interlude definitely kind of takes me out of the experience. I don't know if all of the criticism, I think it's warranted, but I feel like it's being overblown. That's kind of where my stance is.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. And I think that actually, to be quite honest, if this album only had, what is it? It's Smoke Signals, Heretic, Made by Design, The Answer, Terrorist, so that's like what, seven songs and the rest are interludes? Honestly, I'll be really, I think that's fine for an album. I think that the idea of this album is fine. I would take an album with 7 real songs and interludes like this any day of the week.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
My problem is this is one of 2 albums, and they might be doing this again.
You know what? If they do it again, it's fine. I really enjoyed this. I think that it could have been executed a little better in the sense that some of the interludes, if they're not going to transition seamlessly from song to song, then they should set up the vibe of the next one maybe a little bit better. And I think I'm
thinking like a What It Cost into like a villain type thing.
Kinda, yeah.
Ember's Glow into Color
Yeah.
Black.
Yeah. But I mean those feel like a one-off, and ultimately like the album's trying to create I think that's the purpose of instrumental interludes like that. Because honestly, I think this band is more talented, way more talented, instrumentally than vocally. And so when they go in and they show off what they can do instrumentally or what they can do with production, like that's fine. I really like it. And I think that if the interludes work together between track to track, or they set up the next song after it, which they succeeded at some points, I think sometimes they didn't, that this idea of a 12-track album with 7 songs and 5 interludes is fine. And I don't mean fine like it's okay. I mean like it's fine, like it's acceptable, and I'm completely down for it. I just don't know if the execution is all there, but at the same time, I really enjoyed this for what it is, and I would be completely down to listen to all 12 tracks on repeat, because the 7 songs, including the 2 new ones, are all good. And the interludes are all good, and even if they aren't perfectly bringing everything together in the way that, like a top 10 or album of the year contender would, they still work enough, and I really don't understand why people are so mad about it. I don't. I think honestly, if somebody's mad at this, I'm just going to assume that they can't appreciate music. I'm just gonna be super real
What-
and upfront.
what
It's like
I'm
the same
gonna
people who are
say-
mad at Bad Omens. Like,
What I'm gonna say is, I appreciate them for taking a risk, but yeah, but like you said, the execution
it could have been
definitely
better.
Yeah.
needs work.
But there are people on r/metalcore that are up in arms about this, right? Like they're fucking angry.
Yeah.
Like, where am I? Yeah, whatever. Just say you want verse, chorus, breakdown, and go for like 12 tracks. Like, I want more bands to take risks like this because even if if it didn't come across perfectly, maybe in the way that they wanted it to, I still think it was pretty successful, and I love the idea of it, and I want more bands to take risks like this. People were mad at Bad Omens because they went soft. Like,
I
I get mad when people get mad at bands for experimenting. That's
For
all.
me personally, I think, like, I listen to music because I connect with the lyrics a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's probably where this bugs me a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was like one of my most, and I think it was my most anticipated September album
Mm.
when, like, at the start of September or whatever, and I think it was you who told me, Derek, that it's 5 instrumentals. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a letdown for me.
Well,
So,
I think something that'll be interesting is how the second album sounds.
yes,
And
that is what
I think that's gonna shape a lot of opinions.
yes.
because the other thing then is if there's another 12-track album and it's the same kind of 7/5 split or similar, if you take maybe 2 interludes and the best songs off of both, or even just all the songs, like the regular songs off of both, and put them together and you get a phenomenal album, it's like, okay, well, why couldn't you have done it in the first place? Type of thing, you know? So I really think that it depends on how they execute the second album.
We're
in
not seeing the
contrast
full
to this
picture
one.
yet, and I feel like
Right.
once we do, we'll have a better idea on like
Yeah,
what were they
absolutely.
really trying to do here.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like we had like the highest praise for I think every single here.
Mhm.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we should highlight the new songs in Made by Design and The Answer. Because we've been talking very, very broadly about just like
Yes.
the whole structure. Made by Design and The Answer are both really good songs. I think particularly Made by Design.
Yeah.
I think
I
Made
agree.
by Design was my favorite on the album,
Interesting.
including the singles.
I think mine is probably still Terrorist. That bluesy solo is way too good to
Actually-
ignore.
It's such a hard decision, actually.
It is, because the
It
7
is.
songs that aren't interludes are all
I
fucking
think-
phenomenal.
I'm gonna go with Heretic just because of the feature.
It's between Heretic and Terrorist for me. I've flip flopped multiple times.
I would say so, yeah. Probably same for me. I mean, overall, Novelists are doing a really good thing here. The songs that are regular songs on here are fucking phenomenal. And I like instrumentally the interludes. I don't think that the concept was executed as successfully as maybe they hoped or as other people would have hoped, but I still think that it's a great idea, and I'm happy that, if nothing else, we got a band that's trying something like this. You know, like we were talking about with Prod and everything, there are a couple scene-defining albums that are coming out and pushing the genres forward, and I think that this is not on that same level, obviously, but another idea that can kind of work to serve that same function to say, okay, well, what if we tried this? You know, rather than doing the same old, same old.
I can safely say this is my favorite Novelist album.
I'd say so too. Yeah, even with the interludes, I enjoyed them a lot.
I agree. This is also the only one I've heard.
Oh.
I always have to discredit myself somehow.